What's up, everybody? I'm Scott,
And I'm Jason.
and you're listening to Liquid Carnage. How are you, my friend?
Oh, I'm doing okay, man. I'm doing real good. It was a long weekend. We had to move. We finally closed. We're closing on Noreen's dad's house on the 18th of June. So this weekend was a pure sell everything we can and then get rid of the rest. And we spent all day Saturday, all day Sunday doing that. But the house is now officially empty.
Ah, very nice, very nice progress.
Yes, because we didn't want to have to go back down another weekend. We just wanted to get it done, so we busted hump and got it done. And
Well,
now,
anyone that knows me knows I will tell you one weekend in Tucson is one weekend too much for your entire life. So,
yes, there was a lot of A's, big A's around all over the place, man.
well, hopefully that was just the start of ASU. So that's fun.
Yeah, you can only imagine it wasn't. There was a lot of colors that were not ASU colors.
That's
sure.
fine. Everyone makes mistakes. It's not how
I
you
know.
start; it's how you finish. It's how
Exactly. What you got going on this weekend? What'd you do?
We kind of kept it easy this weekend. We didn't do a whole lot. We went out looking for a buffet in Hutch because that's what we need for stuff. Because as you know, we combine two houses, and as a guy, and I told this to Denise, so I don't mind sharing on the air. I don't care what we use. I don't care what it looks like. We could put out folding tables. It's fine with me. I don't care. She wants obviously something that looks nice that works well. That's multifunctional. So we spent Saturday out looking for that. And
oh God, Scott, are you kidding me? I'm gonna just. I mean, this is totally not even part of the episode this week, but we had the hell of a time trying to sell this beautiful China Hutch cabinet. It had the big glass, the top that was all glass where you could see in it, put dishes up, store things.
That's not what we're looking for. We don't have the space for that.
Oh, okay. Well,
Thank
I was
God.
gonna say, well, when you say Hutch, man, that has a lot of images for me.
Oh,
so.
I know, because my mom has multiple Hutches like that, so I get it. The upside is through this hunt, we were able to stop for a beer that led to a good old fashioned day drinking session on Saturday. So the hunt will have to continue another day.
Where'd you guys go beer drinking?
Well, we stopped up at Blackridge. Our friend from Cartoon Casual, Joe Fellers, tends there on Saturday, and
nice.
They make a hard seltzer there that's wine based.
That does sound good.
And he started using fresh fruit when he makes it. So it was like a fresh strawberry hard seltzer, and it was amazing. And I had 4 before I realized what was going on, and then the day just kind of took off from there. Then it was the tack shed for wings, and hung out with their buddy Dave Watson because he's getting ready to move to your neck of the woods. So we tried to go karaoke, but the fireside wasn't having it. So we just kind of hung out all day. And then Sunday was a little quiet, and I have to admit my heart broke a little bit. I saw an image released on the interweb of Harrison Ford on set of Indiana Jones 5.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, no. That's got to be fake news, dude. There's no way.
It's not. Disney confirmed it.
Oh,
they are making a 5th installment. Harrison Ford's like 78 years old.
Yeah, he's getting to that. I think he's older than my mom. That's right. Yeah,
he is. He looked like, okay, I bought him as Han Solo in The Force Awakens. Like, that was a nice character arc to close it. I don't think you can close Indiana Jones as easily as Han Solo as a character arc.
Well, how about this? If he's not the main thrust of the show, then maybe. But if he's going to be the main thrust, yeah, you're right. I don't see that happening.
The last one took place was after World War II with the Crystal Skulls. So this has got to be taking place in the 60s now. It's the best they could figure.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So what's he going to do? Like steal an artifact from Woodstock? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. He's going to go to the mighty jungles of Haight-Ashbury, San Francisco.
Exactly. Like, is he going to steal acid from the Grateful Dead? Is he going to prevent Mama Cass from eating that ham sandwich? I don't know.
Yeah. Indiana Jones and the Golden Bong.
Yeah. And that's the problem is, like, it breaks my heart that they're still doing this. Like, I'm fine rebooting it. Let's get some new adventures as long as they're as good as the first ones. But please, just let the man, just because he wants to do the role doesn't mean he should do the role.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a different topic. Oh, how about this? That's a topic we've hit like 4 times in the past 4 years. It's like, dude, just because you can doesn't mean you should, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is And believe me, I was praying it was fake news. But he was in the Indiana Jones outfit. He had the fedora, the leather jacket, the khakis, the button-down shirt, and he had a face mask. So,
Scott, I don't know. I'm starting to wonder now if we can really trust anything on the internet anymore, though. I saw an app where I can take a picture, any picture, and I can edit it to make it look like something totally different, and you wouldn't know the difference.
Oh, yeah.
I could take a picture of you and me and take you completely out of the picture now.
Well, have you seen? There's a reel on Instagram about it, so you probably haven't seen it. But someone was able to take Tom Cruise, and he superimposed Tom Cruise's face over him and made it look exactly real, like Tom Cruise is doing card tricks, but it was really him.
Yeah, I mean, you can't trust anything anymore on that stuff.
No,
there was that gosh, what was that news story where a cheerleader's mom was angry at one of the other cheerleaders and basically created a video of this girl like smoking weed and drinking, and it was totally fake.
Yeah,
she morphed it. She made it totally fake. I mean, it was totally fake. That you're like, and people believed it. People said, "Oh yeah, this girl really did do that," and it's like, no, that's not true.
Well, that's the problem. Is anything? First off, we have a division of what's true and what's not true anymore in the media today, and that's part of the problem we have in our world. Is we don't know what facts are. The people we rely on for facts will give you the facts, but presented in a way that's slanted toward a way they want you to believe, not just here it is in black and white, and that's part of the problem.
Yeah, I see that as a big problem. I mean, obviously we've talked about this kind of stuff before, but you're right. I mean, when you can say a news story and you have to put like fact checks on a news story, I mean, good Lord, what are we talking about here? Like, why even do the news? And frankly, where are people getting their news?
Well, that's the thing. It's not even that you have to fact check some of these stories. It's that, Fox News, the CNN, and MSNBC can tell you the same story, but there's 3 different slants to it, so you don't know who to believe or what to believe. And that's even get to the point now with like car accidents and whatnot.
Well, how much of that, Scott, is the way that we're interpreting it? I'll give you an example. I was having a discussion with someone, and we were somehow, it got on the topic of the Second Amendment, of course. But one of his statements was, "Do you know that knives kill more people than guns do each year?" That was his statement. And I just said, that's impossible. I can't believe that. I looked up the vital statistics, and it's true. Knives do kill more people than rifles.
Not guns, but rifles.
Yeah, rifles, like shooting rifles. But I mean, guns by far, like handguns, shotguns, kill more people per year than knives do. So he took the one fact that knives kill more people than guns and spun that into one, quote, fact, unquote. But the reality was that wasn't a true fact. It was a partial fact. I mean, there was some truth to it, but he spun it in a way that made it totally false.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so semantics. Even that, like that, he tried to make something a factual that, I heard this on the news. And it's like, no, you didn't. You didn't hear the entire quote, or you were misgiven the news. That was not the true fact.
That's the problem. Is how many news sources today only give partial quotes? How many people have to come out and say, well, if you read on in the story or listen further into the interview, you hear me finish that sentence, that statement with justification, not just whatever it is that they're being accused of,
Right. Yeah. And maybe it comes back to what you said earlier, that every news is going to put a slant. And I'm sure that some news agencies would love to perpetrate a fact that knives kill more people than guns each year in the United States.
Yeah, I'm sure that was brought to you by the NRA.
Or, or whoever that more guns were there. And so that fact was given out as a fact or a statement, and then people used it and took it for what it was.
Yeah, but that's part of the problem today. And so I listened to people like, Tom Brokaw and some of these older newscasters that have been around for decades talk about how Dan Rather too, how they talk about how back in their day, you just gave the news. You just put it out there. I think there's an old interview with Walter Cronkite too, right before he passed, where he said the same thing: is you here's the news, You say the news, you don't try to spin the news. But that was before the 24-hour news cycle.
Right.
And I think the 24-hour news cycle and the invention of the internet has ultimately made the world dumber.
How do you think that Walter Cronkite or Dan Rather would handle the news now?
Actually, Dan Rather, he still tweets.
Oh,
And he's fucking hilarious.
okay.
Because he's blunt. And he's just straight to the point. You know, he's living in Austin, Texas now and retired. And he just, you know, he'll tell you like he sees it. And he's made quite a few comments of, you know, this is not how he would present a story, or these are not all facts per se, you know. So it's interesting.
Yeah, like there's a big one going on right now that I guess Donald Trump did a rally on Saturday, and I've heard multiple news stories talk about how his pants were not.
How they're on backwards?
Yeah, they're on backwards.
Well, yeah, now, I did see a video of that.
Okay, so I don't know whether it's true or not, but to me, that's not news.
No,
that's like People Magazine news. That's that's not news, but someone's pushing it and reporting it as news, and frankly, why we waste our time on that being news is just mind-boggling to me.
Well, the problem is that they have video, they have pictures, and if in fairness, if you look at those videos in that picture, you have to stop and actually look very closely to see. And it does appear that his pants are on backwards, but also you have to use logic. For whatever you might think of the man, he is a 74-year-old man. Unless he's, you know, all of a sudden gotten into crisscross from the early 90s, or he really is losing it, his pants aren't on backwards. They're not. Maybe it's an adult diaper, possibly, but his pants are not on backwards.
Well, and then I would argue he went through an hour and a half speech, and you're going to talk about his pants. Are you truly a news person? Because to me, shouldn't you be focusing on, President Trump said this and this and this during the speech? Yeah. But no, you're focusing on, his pants were on backwards. Yeah. And I agree with you. I mean, no matter what I think of the president, that just seems like of all the things that we should be focusing on, whether his pants are on backwards or not, should not be one of them.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's 15 other things you can either love or hate in what he said in that hour and a half. But focusing on the pants means that speech was uneventful, and you have nothing else to report on.
No. See, I look at it a little differently. I look at it as that people can't differentiate what news is and what isn't news.
Yeah. I mean, maybe.
That's the way I look at it, because frankly, to me, that's not news. That's really not news. But then again, where do most people get their news anymore? I mean, think about this. All the younger generation is now moving away from cable altogether.
Yeah.
Right? So they're not getting the channels NBC, ABC, CBS. So they're not getting their news from the cable channels. And maybe they're getting them from CNN, but I would doubt if you have cable, they're getting CNN loaded on their phones or on their TVs. So where are people getting their news now?
Yahoo, the social media.
Media.
Whether it's right, wrong, or indifferent. And, and you can't tell. Kids and old people are very much alike in this scenario. You can't tell them one thing or the other. Because they'll get mad because they think they know the right way. What's the best way?
That's the truth.
My dad and I go back and forth over this all the time, but he still insists on watching the news. He still insists, but he will at least go and research afterward. I mean, he's the old man that's always on the computer board looking at stuff. So it's not Jeep parts. It's stuff like, that you hear on the news to see if it's real or not. So I can appreciate that. But kids don't do that. They try to fact check you. And if someone changes it on Snopes, well, you're screwed. Nobody knows how to do research anymore.
And I wonder sometimes, I ran into something recently that was mind-boggling to me. So I was dealing with someone who kept joking at my expense that I'm a liberal and, oh my gosh, oh, I'm sorry, you're a liberal, blah, blah, blah. But then as I'm hearing them talk, everything that they want or they stand for is a liberal policy. like they were very focused on the environment, and they wanted to have student loans taken away because they didn't want to have student loans anymore. And I'm listening to all these things like, do you even know what a liberal is, man? Because all the stuff that you're talking about, you're a liberal. I mean, you should be a liberal because they're the ones that protect what you stand for or what you believe in. And so sometimes I think some of these people just don't even know what the heck they're talking about.
Well, I think they don't do any research on it. They just, whatever news station they watch or they were raised having on in the background, that's what they gravitate towards. So, the older generation has been led to believe that if it's on the news, it's facts.
Right.
And I've said this many times. My great grandma, she passed away 20 plus years ago, had Fox News on 24/7 in her bedroom, so she thought the world was on fire forever.
Right.
And that was before the world was really even on fire. So,
right.
That just goes to show that she believed everything that's the news. Like, she was raised to think, if it's on the news, that's how you get your information. It's got to be right. And that's not the case anymore. And so many people just want to take it for gospel, and they don't do their own research. And then when they do go do the research, depending on where they go, God knows what they're going to find.
Yeah, and I think we've all learned how many times can you tell a lie before that lie becomes truth.
Yeah.
If I hear it 1,000 times, oh, it must be true. I've heard it 1,000 times. Well, we've learned that's subjective as well.
Yeah. I mean, and it's coming down to it. Is you can watch this. You and I can watch an event happen right in front of our eyes and have two completely different takes on it. And how it happened, why it happened, what the effect was, but we both still saw the same event. And that's what the media is today, is they are, showing you something and they want to push you in a certain direction, but you can interpret it very differently. I get very aggravated watching Fox News where someone I work with soaks it up like it's gospel. I can read something on the internet, on whatever you can consider a factual website, and they can become offended because it's not what they think is accurate, what they've been led to believe. So there's no middle ground. There's no common ground anymore. It's either you believe me or you don't. And if you don't believe me, then you're wrong. And that's not okay.
And that leads to an interesting point. So how much of the news that we listen to is only shaped because it just happens to feed into our own belief system?
Well, I think it depends on who you listen to. I mean, there's been such a political divide has been created over the last decade. You're either conservative or you're liberal. If you're conservative, Fox News is the way to go. They will tell you how it is. If you're liberal, you watch MSNBC. They'll tell you how to keep the world from burning. But there's no in between. There's no middle ground.
Okay, so here's a perfect example. I guess I lean more left. So I don't watch news like that. So it's not that. But when I hear stories about, oh, the Republicans are doing this or the Republicans doing that, it's easy for me to instantly think, oh, but the Democrats would never do something like that. Or, oh my gosh, how horrible the right is and the left is perfect.
Yeah.
And it's a constant challenge to say, you know what, this could be happening on the other side too, and I'm just tuning it out, or I'm not listening to it, or I'm not going to believe it. Even if it's true, I'm not going to believe it. And I think a lot of people do that. Like, I'm surprised how many people totally don't think that Trump lies.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is mind-boggling to me, but only because I think he does lie. So anything that he says, I'm going to question. But there's so many people. Oh no, he's not lying. He's not lying. He's
telling it how it is.
He's telling you the truth. That's the truth. That's the truth. So
yeah, not the other guy. The other guy lies. This guy tells the truth.
Well, right? Biden's a liar.
What makes him tell the truth?
Yeah.
What makes you think he's telling the truth? Because he wouldn't lie.
Yeah.
He hasn't lied about anything.
Exactly.
He's been right about everything.
Exactly.
Like that's not true at all. You contradicted yourself in the first sentence.
Well, you know what I found also interesting too is that social media is where a lot of people get their news. Yet the laws have protected social media from libel, whereas news agencies can be sued for libel because they are news agencies. But Facebook is a social media platform, and we have we made laws that protected them from libel suits because, well, it's just social media. So is that going to change at some point where, hey, if everyone's getting their news from Facebook, then the protections against Facebook for the news are no longer valid.
Well, that's the same thing. You know, that's why Twitter was started. Twitter's a microblog. So if that's a news source, it should be no different than a social media news source. That should be no different for them either. And part of the problem is how many of these bots, what are they called, bots, right?
Right.
That they create bots to put out disinformation and propaganda. And a lot of people don't realize that propaganda was legalized in America during the Obama administration. It used to be illegal to drop any kind of propaganda in America, but it got legalized over the last decade. And that's when you started to see a real influx and a real change in our social media and how people perceive the media.
Right. And you know that when you have those protections that the news agencies don't have, it's a little bit puzzling to me, because at some point, and maybe we're already starting to see it, because now some of these states are actually going against or going after the social media companies, saying we're not going to allow you to do this kind of crap. You know, you're abusing your protections, and we're not going to allow you to do it in our states.
Absolutely. I mean, case in point, look at the vaccine. I mean, look at how much information you don't know what's real, what's not. You know, and it's crazy that something that it was developed very fast, but it was also based off a previous vaccine of a similar illness. So it's completely understandable as to how it got developed so fast. But people have gone on social media, and just the things they come up with, the things they read or share. It's like it's no wonder we're not going to get to herd immunity. It's really no wonder. We are dumb as a society.
If you listen to the news, though, our cases are amongst the lowest in the nation, or in the world. Maybe our numbers keep going down and down and down. So it's hard to argue with people who say, you know what, why should we do this when our numbers are coming down? Why, Yeah. I have someone I know personally who thinks they've had the antibodies since before COVID was there. So they've never gotten immune or the vaccines because they can't get it.
Yeah. I've met a few of those people, and those people are wrong. There might be some merit to where if you have O-type blood, you're more resistant to it, but you're not immune from it.
So, okay, so if we're gonna just blow this thing out of the water. So, is there any way to fix this, Scott? Is there any way to fix the news? Because frankly, I'm like you. I don't believe anything I read anymore. I really don't.
Well,
I don't. How about this? I don't take it as real news. The only news that I take as real news is this event happened. 4 people were mass shot in this restaurant.
Yeah, I think you have to take it for like local news. I would assume, like you're right, like accidents, things that happen in Arizona are probably closer to just the facts than what we see on a national level or a world level. I don't think we can do anything about it, though. I think we've lit this cat out of the bag, and it's not going back. We have built this machine to where we need everything to reset. Maybe Thanos was right.
Well, or maybe anything that comes off of social media is not news. That's not news.
Yeah. I mean, that's fair too. It's you can't ask for businessmen to be in charge of news stations or newspapers, because they will ultimately succumb to advertising, and whatever views the advertisers have, that's what they'll slant toward, because money talks.
Right.
And you can't have a state-run news, because that's just got disaster written all over it. Then you just hear what they want you to hear. You don't hear everything else.
Right.
So, I don't know what to believe. I don't know if there's a solution. And quite frankly, with the way technology is going, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah. I mean, at some point, maybe the answer is at some point we ourselves as individuals make a conscious choice to decide how we want to process news. I mean, I know I've made a conscious choice that if something doesn't sound right to me, I instantly question it.
Yeah, and I do the same thing. It's how many I don't know how fast you are to pick up your phone and Google a question of someone if you question what someone's saying. Because to me, I do it pretty fast, and but still, like you have to be aware of what website you're looking up to see if it's true, and you have to verify through multiple websites just for an idea anymore.
Right, right. And like, I mean, there are certain things that come out as news that, frankly, I just instantly just say, nope, that's wrong. I mean,
Yeah.
that just doesn't sound right to me. So I'll go and research it. And I certainly don't trust people's interpretation of news. I certainly don't trust anyone like my friend who, he slants to the right of things, but some of, like, the one who came up with the comment that knives kill more people, he said that's not true. That's not true. Oh, look it up, and I did, and he says, oh well, that must have changed. Yeah, right.
It doesn't change. No. I mean, you just read it wrong. You listen. Yeah.
You believe what you want to believe, but at some point, I really do think that these you can already tell that some of these local governments are really starting to focus on social media platforms, and there might be some massive changes going on in the next few years that change the horizon a lot.
Oh, yeah.
The environment might change a lot just because these governments say, you know what, we're not going to let you just run willy-nilly without taking some consequence.
Well, that's the way it needs to happen, So, yeah, as this conversation wraps up, have you seen anything on the internet that you've had to question a few times, but you kept seeing it afterward with multiple versions of the story? We want to hear about it. Hit us up on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all at Liquid Carnage. If you want to share some fun fake news stories about the Colorado area, hit up our EP, Tom, at liquid_EP on Twitter and Instagram.
The one thing I will say is, even though we are on social media and even though we are a podcast, I do feel that we try to keep things light but informative. So, we realize too that sometimes we're full of shit too.
Oh, that's the thing, is we didn't even touch on podcasts. We didn't even touch on the fact that people think they're the news purveyors. They're the actual journalists in the world now, and they have their own podcasts. We do this for fun. These people think, that they're out here saving the world, and they're making things worse too.
Yeah, exactly. Or, why people think that they have anointed themselves as some oracle of truth and knowledge, when 5 years ago you were nothing. Like, give me a break.
Yeah. No, I get it, man. It's a fucked up world out there right now. We're just out here living our best lives.
Hey, we're out here looking for hutches.
Hutches and buffets,
hutches, baby.
Hutches and buffets,
That's right.
And we will find one eventually. And I truly don't care what it is, if it's because I'm a guy. It doesn't matter to me, and I know it matters to her, so it is important. I just have to move it. That's what I told her. It's like, you go out, you find what you want, I will move it.
Yeah, I've learned that a long time ago, that if it comes down to a battle or how much I care about something, I will usually choose, I don't need the battle. Whatever you want, I don't care. It's not going to, like, whether it's a green wall or a blue wall, I don't care.
Yeah.
I really
it doesn't make a difference to me. That's the other thing. Now that we're talking about painting. All right. I don't care what the colors are. You pick. That's fine. We'll take care of it.
Yeah, exactly. And that's relationship knowledge that you can go to the bank with. You can check any source on that. If mama ain't happy, you ain't
nobody's happy. Oh yeah.
So that's newsworthy right there.
Absolutely. With that said, Jason, take us home.
Hey, thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate you. That was Scott. I am Jason, and as always, if you never know quite what to say, just have yourself some Liquid Carnage.